والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Islam. Islam 101.
Bismillahi wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillahi amma ba'du. Welcome to a new episode of Islam 101. I'm Abu Usamah Adh Dhahabi, your host, and we have with us here today our respected panel and students. To my right, Nick. To his right, Sardar. To my left, Brother Abu Abdullah. And next to him, Brother Yasser. Welcome, everybody, to today's guest. Today's program is actually an honor to present because we are actually feeling what the topic's all about, and we're also expressing it and manifesting it here today. And that is that the religion of Islam has made each and every Muslim man a brother to another Muslim, no matter where that individual comes from, no matter what his color is, no matter what his nationality is. The Muslim is a brother to another Muslim, as the Prophet told us, Al-Muslim Akhul Muslim. The Muslim is a brother to another Muslim. And Allah has mentioned in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. Verily, verily, the believers are brothers one to another. So it's not permissible for anyone who embraces the religion of Islam to look at another Muslim as being anything other than his brother. Coming from the United States, there were a lot of issues that were social that we were dealing with concerning white people and black people. There's racism. Many black people don't like white people, and many white people don't like black people. And unfortunately, I must say that this institutionalized racism is actually in the Bible. And the people in South Africa in particular, those people were not shy or embarrassed to let people know that apartheid, according to what some of them understood, was the divine rule or the divine message that was revealed to them in the Bible because of the story of Noah and the 3 sons of Noah, and how one of the sons of Noah, according to the Bible, laughed at the nakedness of his father Noah after drinking alcohol and taking all of his clothes off. His son Ham came in and laughed at his father. And then the other son, who white people come from, Sam, covered up his father's nakedness. And then the next day when Noah came through and the effects of alcohol wore off, he asked what happened. He was told, your son Ham laughed at you and at your nakedness, and he ridiculed you. So Noah made a supplication. He made a dua that Allah will curse Ham and his descendants until the last day. So those people used to believe that apartheid was from the religion. In addition to that, not to mention the fact that when you look at the pictures of Jesus, the Son of God, who was a white man, all of the prophets, Moses, white man, the angels, Gabriel, Michael, white people, all of that, it is institutionalized racism. Whereas in the religion of Islam, we do not have these images. Even Prophet Muhammad, we know that he was an Arab, and an Arab is neither very white for the most part, nor is he very black. They're between both of that, both of those two colors. But no Arab can come and make people feel we as Arabs are better than you because Muhammad was an Arab. Because Rasulullah himself took the time out to make it perfectly clear that no Arab doesn't have any superiority over the non-Arab, nor does the white person have any superiority over the non-white. So the point of all of that is, coming from the United States and embracing the religion of Islam, once I see a person who is white and he's from Russia, for an example, in my heart, it is not permissible for me to have any barriers as it relates to that individual. He's my brother, and he is closer to me, and he should be more closer to me than my biological brother, who is not even a Muslim, my biological sister, who's not even a Muslim, even my mother and my father. This individual has to be closer to me. They have to be closer to me because Allah mentioned in the Quran, verily the believers are brothers. So we're here to discuss this issue of the akhuwa, or the brotherhood, as well as the sisterhood in the religion of Al-Islam. I think it's important that we take this time out to mention that the Prophet of Al-Islam, Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he came to a group of people in an environment, and most of them were Arabs, but they were extremely racist. They were racist against each other and towards each other. Not to mention the other people who were not Arabs who were in their environment. And yet they were able to eradicate the problems of racism due to them taking this Quran and the authentic Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I give you an example of that. The Prophet of Al-Islam, he started his call in Mecca. One of the reasons that some of the people rejected him was because he wasn't from their tribe. If he had been from their tribe, then they would have supported his call. But they used to say, you people in your tribe, we were in competition about every issue, and now you're coming and you're saying that you guys have a Nabi, you have a prophet, you have a messenger, and we don't have someone who can claim that, so we're going to reject your message. So they rejected him based upon racism only. So he had to deal with racism. When he made his migration from Mecca to Al-Medina, he found there was a tribe that consisted of two groups. The main tribe is called Al-Ansar, or the group was called Al-Ansar, the helpers. They consisted of two tribes. One tribe was Al-Aws, and the other tribe was Al-Khazraj. And the two tribes were at each other's necks because of issues that happened 200, 300 years ago. They were fighting each other due to a horse race that one tribe won and the other tribe lost. The winners, 200 years later, during the time of Rasulullah, would start making poetry about the horse race. It would incite the other tribe's anger, and they would start to fight, and people would lose their lives. Another incident would take place where one man from this group married a woman from that group, and he divorced that woman 300 years ago, before Rasulullah came. They would make some poetry about our great-great-grandfather divorced your great-great-grandmother and dishonored you guys. And then it would lead to a war, and they would fight. When Rasulullah came, he made peace between these two tribes by Allah's permission. That was mentioned in a number of ayat of the Quran. Allah said that he brought their hearts together. And he told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you, Ya Muhammad, had spent everything in the earth, never would you been successful to bring their hearts together. If you would have spent all of the money in the earth and paid the people to say to them, come together and be united, never would you have been successful. But Allah brought their hearts together. How did Allah bring their hearts together? He brought their hearts together because He's one. And they all turned to the same God. They all held on to the same book. They made the same prayer. They faced the same direction of prayer. When they used to fast in the month of Ramadan, they all felt the same way, with each other and for each other. When they made the pilgrimage, they dressed the same way. They became brothers in the religion, which goes to show any Muslim or non-Muslim who's trying to unite the people on democracy, socialism, he's trying to unite the people with his group, whether it's Islamic or other than that. If you try to unite the people on other than Al-Islam, it's not going to work. Because Rasulullah, who is the best of the people, was told by Allah, you wouldn't have never been successful in bringing them together. But Allah brought them together by the religion. So Rasulullah came into that environment, and those people became brothers, and we have an individual who we spoke about already, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the best of this nation, the best of the Muslims. Not only is he the best of the Muslims, but he is the best human being from the descendants of Adam after the prophets and the messengers, Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr was a pure Arab. His blood was not mixed with the blood of any other nation. Abu Bakr became the brother to Bilal, who was an Ethiopian. And those two became the brothers of Salman, who was from Persia. And they became the brothers to a companion by the name of Suhaib, who was brought up in Rome. And they became the brothers to even people from the Hebrew nation, Abdullah ibn Salam, and our mother, Safiya bint Huyay. May Allah be pleased with all of them. Now, if you were to look at the differences and the distinctions between the Arab, Abu Bakr, his lifestyle, his environment, what he likes, his dislikes as an Arab, and you compare that to Bilal, who came from Ethiopia, and you compare that to Salman, who came from Persia, you can see that those people have every reason in the world to remain disunited. But it was the religion of Al-Islam that brought them together despite the differences that existed in their cultures and in their nations. Similarly, right here at this particular panel right now, there's every reason in the world for me not to be united with the Muslims who are viewing this particular broadcast and the Muslims who are sitting here. My life is totally different from your life. What you eat, what you like, how you speak. But it's the religion, the Arabic language, that brings a Russian person, and it allows him to be on the same footing with a person from America and another one who is from Ethiopia and another one who is from Egypt or other than that. With my brother Sardar being from Russia, or if you can imagine we were in China, when it's time for the salat, I may not speak a single word of Chinese, but when it's time for the prayer and the Chinese leader in the salat gets in front of me, wallahi, I don't see any. I swear by Allah, there's no difference between me praying behind him and the way I feel and the way I would feel if I was praying behind the imam or the leader in the prayer at the sacred mosque in Mecca. That's the unity of Islam. That is coming to us as a result of the Muslims holding on to their religion. But when the Muslims leave their religion, as they have left their religion, except for those people Allah has shown his mercy upon, then we start to become people who are racist, and we start to treat people according to their caste and according to their color and according to their language. You'll find a person from the same country, for an example, from Morocco. One is a Berber and the other one is a non-Berber. They're all Moroccans, but there's racism that exists between them simply because they are separated by a number of mountains. That comes as a result of not holding on and not practicing the religion of Al-Islam. In the religion of Al-Islam, there's a hadith that I want to share with you concerning this brotherhood. The brotherhood that every Muslim has to practice. If you are a Muslim who you look at other Muslims because of their color or their sex, their profession, their mansab, and where they are in life, and you have a problem with embracing those individuals, then you need to pay attention to this particular point. And for you, Nick, we want you to focus and to tune in to the beauty of the universality of this religion of Al-Islam. The Prophet told us about the Muslims, and he said, Al-Mu'minun tatakafa'u dima'uhum. The Muslims, the believers, their blood is equal. The believers, their blood is equal. In the religion of Al-Islam, no one's blood is more sacred or more important than the next man's blood. No doubt there are different levels and different stations of the people. The mother is not like the child. The mother is not like the wife. The Muslim leader, the ruler of the Muslims, is not like the one who's a subject. So you can't treat him any way. The Muslim who is teaching, the mudarris, the one who's teaching us, the ustad in the classroom, he's not like the student. People have different levels. The scholar in Al-Islam is not like the one who's ignorant. There are different levels, no doubt. But in terms of the sanctity of people's blood, everyone's blood is equal. So if you can indulge me for 1 minute, and you can imagine that there are a group of Muslims who are on a big ocean liner, a big ship, 2,000 people. The ship is about to sink in the water. And as it's sinking, someone says, let us throw over all of the cargo to lighten the load. So they throw all of the cargo overboard. But the boat is still sinking. Someone comes up with the bright idea and they say, okay, the death of all of us is imminent unless we start throwing people over. Someone says, let's throw overboard all of the youngsters below the age of 5 because they're going to go right to paradise. They didn't do anything of sins in their life. Let's throw them overboard. Someone else says, no, I have a child who's 5. I don't want you to throw my baby over. Let's throw everyone overboard who's above 60 or 70 because death is closer to them. Let's throw them overboard. Is this allowed in Islam or is that allowed in Islam? Neither one of them are allowed. We either live together or we die together because it's not permissible to throw either of the two groups overboard because everyone's blood on that boat is sacred. And this is a point that we have to understand. It's not permissible for a Muslim to look at another Muslim and to feel that he's better than him simply because he's an Arab or that person is a non-Arab or because he has a PhD or that individual is the leader of the Muslims. The Muslims, as it relates to their blood and the sacred nature of their blood and the sanctity, they are all equal. We'll come back, inshallah, and we're going to have the participation of the students of the panel, and we look forward to having you back in the second half of this program, inshallah.
Islam 101.
The Prophet ﷺ have informed us that we should not obey no one on the account of disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the superiority is to Allah's command. So if the husband tells his wife that I want you to shake hands with my colleagues, with my business partners, no, even if it leads to divorce. If the husband says to his wife that you have to party with me, with partners and so on, no, you have to take your hijab off, no. By any means, communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your language and He will be very happy to answer your dua.
Islam 101.
Welcome back to Islam 101, where we've been discussing the issue of the Islamic Brotherhood. The Islamic Brotherhood, as we mentioned, is a part of the religion, and it's not permissible for anyone to reject it or to have a problem with it. It is from what Allah has legislated. And in addition to that, it is from the sha'air of al-Islam. And Allah has mentioned in the Quran concerning the sha'air, or the institutions of al-Islam, that whoever exalts the institutions of al-Islam, it is a proof of the taqwa, the God consciousness, the faith that he has in his heart. So we're going to open up the door now, inshallah, for the students to ask their questions. We're going to start with our right, with Nick, and then with Sardar.
In previous part, you, dear Sheikh, mentioned about sheep. And you said that a very good idea that Muslims all live together or die together. Then how should we consider wars between Islamic states?
Concerning the issue of Muslims warring with each other and fighting each other, I never claimed in any of the episodes that Muslims are angels or that Muslims are all practicing their religion. I never claimed that, and that would be a ludicrous claim to even make. Even during the time of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were certain misunderstandings that transpired between individuals and groups, and sometimes it led to fisticuffs and other than that. So it is natural that people misunderstand each other, and sometimes that can lead to wars. It can lead to people losing their lives. As it relates to the companions, they were quick to leave alone the issues that would cause them to fight each other due to the love of the dunya, the love of the wealth and status in the life. Never was that the case with them. If there was a war or problems that transpired between them, it was usually due to someone trying to defend the religion, and the other person is trying to defend the religion, but they had different understandings and points of views. Whereas today, as it relates to the Muslims and what's taking place today, it is a case of Muslims being engrossed and being overtaken by their love for this life, the worldly life. So they fight each other, as the people went before us used to fight each other. And Rasulullah warned us about this. It is severe stinginess, the love of wanting to stay, or your family, or your group, leading and being in the position of rule. So people are fighting over chairs in the seat of leadership and rule. People are fighting because of racism. What you see in the Muslim world today, Nick, I say without any apologies, and I say to it straight, is a result of people not practicing the religion. And even when people do practice the religion, misunderstandings can take place. So Allah mentioned to us, alhamdulillah, in our religion, if two warring factions from the believers, so they're still Muslims, even though fighting another Muslim is disbelief, it's an action of disbelief. If two warring parties from the believers engage each other in the battle, then all of you, the Muslim community, should come together to make peace between them and to stop them from fighting. And if one side persists and continues to fight, then all of you should fight against him until he comes to the religion, until he comes to his senses, until he comes to practicing the religion. So we see this is just the natural way of how human beings are. They're going to have misunderstandings. So what we see in the Muslim world is a direct result of people fighting for other than religious reasons in most instances. And we're not going to sugarcoat that. But again, I say to you, Nick, and I say to every non-Muslim who is interested in Islam, Don't look at the Muslims necessarily. And if you do look at the Muslims, look at the scholars from amongst the Muslims. Look at the religious ones who are trying to practice the religion. Or, even better than that, look at the Quran and read the Quran, because that's the ideal case scenario that you should be looking at. And look at the way the companions of Rasulullah practice the Quran. They are the blueprint. They are the example for us. Now, Sardar.
Yeah, my question. For example, I grew up with someone and we are good friends. We love each other, but he's not Muslim. But I feel and he feels that we are like brothers. So what you can say, what Islam says about the brotherhood between Muslim and non-Muslim?
Concerning the brotherhood between a Muslim and a non-Muslim, I just share with you one of the stories of the Quran with one of the Ulul Azm min al-Rasul, one of the main 5 messengers, prophets, and that is Noah. Noah told his son, when he built the ark and the flood was coming, he told his son, biological son, get on the boat so that you'll be saved. The son said, no, father, I'm not going to get on the boat. He didn't believe. He wasn't on the same religion. He said, I'm not going to get on the boat. I'm going to go and take myself a high mountain, and the high mountain will save me from the flood. I'll be okay. And Allah told Noah to tell him, no, nothing is going to save you on this particular day. When when Noah made supplication to Allah, oh, guide my son, accept my son. He's from my family. Allah said, your son is not from your family because he does the deeds that are not righteous. They're not religious deeds. So even though he was his biological son, Allah said he's not from your family. So in general, all human beings are from Adam, and we're brothers and sisters from that angle. That Adam is our father. He's everyone's father. But that's a lower level of the family. The highest level of the family, the real brotherhood in Islam, is the brotherhood that we're talking about here today. The religious brotherhood. The akhuwa of the religion. The brotherhood of the religion. So if a person is your biological brother and he's not a Muslim, then in that family, he is not a part of the family. And if a person is not your biological brother, but he's a Muslim, then that person is your brother in the deen, in the religion. He has rights on you. You have rights over him. In this case scenario that you gave, that individual should not be considered to be by you. You shouldn't look at him as being your brother, because he's not your brother biologically, nor is he your brother in the religion. But Islam doesn't prevent you from dealing justly with him and dealing kindly with him and being a person who's trying to call him to Islam. Islam doesn't say that you have to look at him as an enemy like that. You can be just to him, kind to him, but he is not your brother. Not biologically, nor in the religion. Okay, Akhi Ahmed, and then Yasser, if you have anything. Ahmed,
my question is, does Zunu bad deeds affect the relation between two Muslim brothers?
Concerning the sins, do they affect the relationship between brothers? Of course they do. That's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said, there's nothing that will nothing that will break up the brotherhood between two people more than the effects of their sins. One person steals another person's money. One person, he dishonors another brother by marrying his daughter without his knowledge or his consent. It's going to create problems between them. A person may backbite his brother and then he finds out about it. So sins, the dhanub and the ma'asi, disobedience to Allah, the sins that we fall into, they definitely will affect the relationship. People may watch this program and for some reason they know our brother Ahmed. They know him personally. And what comes into his heart is al-hasad and al-haqd. He becomes jealous and envious. And he says, why is Ahmed there? Why is Ahmed and I'm not on the show? Why didn't they call me instead of Ahmed? So when he meets Ahmed and he sees Ahmed, he doesn't want to give Ahmed any love because of the sin of jealousy and envy. So yes, this is something that will affect the brotherhood. And opposite to that, there are things that would increase the brotherhood. The Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tahadu tahabu. Give gifts to one another, exchange gifts, and it will cause you to love one another. Tahadu tahabu. He also was sitting in the presence of a man. Rasulullah was sitting and another man was sitting. and a man walked by, and that man said, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, you see that man?" He said, "Yes." He said, "I love that man. I love him for Allah's cause." Rasulullah said, "Did you ever tell him that?" The man said, "No." He said, "Then tell him, because when one of you tells another person that you love him, it will cause your love to endure. Your love will have an enduring effect." So in Islam, we're not a people who are afraid to express ourselves. In the month of Ramadan, the person is praying. He hears the nice recitation of the Quran. He reflects about his disobedience to Allah, and he starts to cry in public. The Imam or the Khatib, who's given the Friday sermon, is given an effective speech that touches the heart. It causes him to cry. He shouldn't allow the shaitan, to come and say, "Hey, men don't cry. That's not true in our religion." So he starts to cry and he becomes emotional about his inability and what the sins that he's committed. So the Muslim doesn't have a problem with saying to another brother, another Muslim, a woman doesn't have a problem saying to another Muslim woman, "Hey, I love you for Allah's sake. Inni uhibbuka fillah. I love you for Allah's sake." And then that person says back to him, "May Allah, whose sake you love me for, also love you." Whereas the other religions sometimes and the other ways of life, people are encouraged not to open up and to be honest and open with people about your feelings. The father doesn't even say to the son, "I love you." He can't even hug his son. If there's going to be any of that that's going to transpire between the two people, you'll see the uncomfortability. Person comes from a long trip. He studied abroad. He studied abroad for 4 years, 8 years. He comes from the airport, and I find this amazing, an amazing manifestation of the lifestyle of the West. We have to take from the West and from all people what is beneficial. Technology, systems, being organized, all of that. But we have to leave with those people what is haram. And haram is what is dirty, and haram is what is filthy and harmful. I find it amazing doing all of the travels that I do in the airport. I met a guy, he had been studying for 8 years abroad. And he was happy to meet his parents and whoever was going to be at the airport. So he insisted that I meet them as well. We came off of the plane, we went to his relatives, and all he did was shake everyone's hand, even his mother. No, this is an example of the coldness that society has. But in Islam, we have to let people know. Like now, I want to let every Muslim know that I love you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're going to sadly bring this particular segment to a close, this episode. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take the rancor and the problems and the enmity that exists between Muslims, between themselves, and to give them a salam, peace, and Islam in their hearts and their homes. Looking forward to seeing you, inshallah, at an upcoming episode of Islam 101. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Islam. Islam. Islam.